G'day there guys, Trousers said, like and subscribe for the video, it's gonna be really cool. Good boy, wow, you really just said that for them? Sit back, relax, chuck a prawn in the barbie, get ready for some r/am I the a-hole content. Thank you. Aww. Posted by user Kunsei, titled, Am I the a-hole for openly insulting people trying to foist the blame on me at my work? So I work in personnel at my office. I handle most of the HR functions, with the exception of payroll. Another manager in finance handles that. She typically works 6 AM to 4 PM, and I work 8 AM to 5 PM. It's not uncommon for our employees to list us for income verification for mortgages and loans, and we're very accommodating with this. However, one particular company has an incredibly bad habit. They will send income verification requests between 4:45 PM to 5:15 PM with the heading, Income Verification, Loan Pending, Priority Rush. I am a big fan of the old adage, a failure to plan on your part does not constitute an emergency on mine. But the first few times I did stay late, pull the files, and faxed the info over. Every single time, I got a frantic call the following morning demanding to know why I hadn't responded and telling me I was jeopardizing my employee's loan. When I sent them the fax confirmation, they claimed it never came through and to send it again. Since they can't get their records straight, I forward the verifications to the payroll manager and she gets it done when she's in the office. Without fail, if the verification arrives at 5:15 PM on a Friday, at 7:45 AM on Monday, they're calling me demanding a turnaround time and accusing me of holding up the loan. I finally decided to just have fun with them. Knowing the other manager will get it done that day, I flip it around. When they call me up, I act very concerned, open my email, gasp and say, "Oh my god, you're right! That's why! You're not going to believe this! Some goddamn idiot in your office named Tony Jones, the person on the phone with me, didn't send it until 5:15 on Friday!" Sir, what is the expected turnaround time for this request? Oh, well, we're certainly getting it done today, but I'm very concerned for your office right now, because this moron didn't do his job right. He has you calling me up like I was the one who didn't do my job and making you look like a complete idiot. That's not right. I'm going to be reaching out to Tony's supervisor to make sure he knows how badly he's screwing up. Oh, no, please, sir. That's not necessary. Oh, it definitely is. After you called me so concerned that I was holding up Lisa's loan, when in fact it was this lazy moron Tony who has been slacking off and causing issues. I'm on LinkedIn, and I found his supervisor, Tom Smith, and I'll be sending him an email letting him know what a lazy piece of garbage is working for him. Oh, okay. You have a good day, sir. So, I've not actually reached out to any supervisors, and this is more of a roundabout way of telling people not to blame me for their lack of promptness. Several people have told me I don't need to be cruel to people trying to do a job. Others agree with me and think it's a good way to break them of this behavior. OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the a-hole. They're just collecting a paycheck, and I don't know what pressures they might be under at work to get things done in a certain time. I'm just tired of them telling me that I'm not moving fast enough. And I call them names while pretending not to realize I'm on the phone with the person I'm disparaging. I'm gonna have to go everyone sucks here, but I think you're a justified a-hole in this situation. Most people will say, don't do that, it's not professional attitude, and most people wouldn't do what you did because it's not advisable to do it. But I understand this is a continuous occurrence. You know your workplace better than all of us. I think if you're doing this, you know you're not going to get in too much trouble for it. So yeah, could be a really tacky thing for you to be doing here, but I don't know, and I don't think we all know. We're not in your situation right here. You're doing something that's really funny to most of us, and most people wish they could do to someone that's screwing them around at work. So you're justified, you're still an a-hole. And so is that guy. Now in the comments, Glitchy Steak says, I'm not going to give a verdict because technically you're being an ass, but it's hilarious and the best thing I've read all day. Yet another example of why we need a "you're the justified a-hole." Justified a-hole is still an a-hole, and it would probably just result in loads more people posting for validation. Who are we kidding? We're all here seeking validation. My kid and I are here to learn how to behave ourselves. Autism runs deep in our family. Lol, oh my god. Do not use Reddit as any kind of measure of behaving properly. Right? We use this sub to provide exercises in common dilemmas and seeing different ways to resolve issues that arise between people. In most instances, we tend to conclude that a less drastic course of action should have been the right one. What do you mean? Just go full tilt. If someone does anything to annoy me, I'm just gonna start screaming in their face until they back off. Go hard or go home, that's my moral compass. As Pasia97 says, everyone sucks here. The loan companies, obviously for sending things late and acting like it's your fault you don't work 24/7 at their beck and call. What you did was hilarious. Had you not used insults, you'd have been fine. Being like, we didn't get this until 5 p.m. on a Friday. I see John Smith must have sent this to us last minute, and unfortunately, we require 24 hours minimum to pull the info. But if you're saying my employee's loan is going to be affected, let's see. It looks like Sue Stone is John's manager. I'll reach out to her immediately to inform her of the delay. There. You've played your game and had fun without actually calling someone names like it's a school playground. And OP replies, that is a very good point, and an effective way to get the point across without being crass. Honestly, I think the crassness isn't out of bounds in this situation. My evening call schedule is filled with people requesting emergency refills an hour before pharmacy closing because we are out of medicine. I wish I could call them the names forming in my mind. Our next post is by user Confused1971, titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter she's not bisexual? I know this sounds bad, but hopefully with some background, you'll see where I'm coming from. My 49 female daughter Kate is 19 and I love her very much. We have a very close relationship. Kate has always been very feminine and has had crushes on boys since she was in kindergarten. When Kate was 13, she was really into reading young adult books, which often had gay main characters. Kate asked me one day, hypothetically, if I told you I was gay, what would you say? I told her I would say that she thinks that because of the books she's reading. Kate dropped the subject after that and went on to have a typical female teenagehood. I only remembered that conversation after what happened today. Kate came to me this morning as I was about to start work and told me, I just wanted you to know I'm bisexual, and in case I have a girlfriend in the future, I want you to be prepared. I replied, I know you. You're not bisexual. I want you to know that I'm not mad at you for thinking that you are. It's easy to get confused with all that stuff on the internet. We can talk about it later. She left the room abruptly after I said that, and we haven't talked since. I've seen her in her room and in the kitchen, and she doesn't seem upset, just a bit quiet. She's never had a relationship, so how could she know she's bisexual? I knew many gay men and lesbian women in college, and I'm friends with people of various sexual orientations, so I know my daughter is not like them. That sounds bigoted, but I don't mean it in that way. I just know my daughter well and know she can easily be confused by the influences online. My daughter and I have talked about men often and how she wishes to have a boyfriend. Kate also expressed wanting children and how she wants to have a home birth eventually, so she doesn't mean to adopt. Nothing indicates that my daughter would be happily married to a woman. I don't want to be one of those terrible homophobic parents, and of course I wouldn't kick Kate out even if she remains adamant about her new sexuality. I don't know how I will help her see that she really isn't bisexual without coming across as a bad person, but I want to help her. It seems that within our generation, there's so much pressure to be something different than the norm. And I want my daughter to accept that she's fine to be vanilla, and you don't have to label yourself as something you're not to get attention from your peers. I'm afraid she might think I'm an a-hole because of how I feel, so I'm hoping this subreddit can judge me fairly. Okay, you want us to judge you fairly, but you are not fairly judging your daughter. You say she can't know her sexuality because she hasn't been in a relationship with someone? That's really weird that you would say that. You don't have to be in a relationship with someone to know your sexuality. It also sounds like you're kind of judging her before she gets to have a relationship with another man or woman. I understand you want to put everything out on the line here and you want to be as transparent as possible, but you keep making stupid assumptions that do make you sound like a terrible homophobic parent, even though you don't want to be a terrible homophobic parent. Why would you say, nothing indicates that my daughter would be happy married to a woman? You've said nothing to indicate that she wouldn't be happy married to a woman. What, just because she wants to have a boyfriend someday? Just because she wants to have a home birth and she doesn't mean to adopt? That doesn't mean she wouldn't be happy married to a woman. That's so rude to say of your daughter. I don't think there is a way to say that she isn't bisexual without coming across as a bad person. You want to help her, but this isn't the way to help her. This just tells me you have something against homosexuality and bisexuality, and you dread the fact that your daughter is bisexual. You're the a-hole, wake up and smell the roses, and accept the fact that she is, and support her. Now in the comments, a small man says, "You're the a-hole. Exposure to information does confuse people, but this could be a big identity moment for her, and you kind of ruined it. Quote, she's never had a relationship, so how could I know she's bisexual? I knew I was straight before I dated any girls or women. Bruh. Quote, I knew many gay men and lesbian women in college, and I'm friends with people of various sexual orientations, so I know my daughter is not like them. I know some men who you could look at and be like, they are the epitome of a Chad and are 100% gay. And I know very effeminate men who are 100% straight. Bruh, stop buying into stereotypes. End quote. Kate has also expressed wanting children and how she wants to have a home birth eventually, so she doesn't mean to adopt. Bi and lesbian women can do this. There are procedures they can undergo at, sperm banks, etc. Also, by your own logic, how could she know she wants to give birth if she hasn't even done it yet? See how stupid that sounds? You're the a-hole, big time. Go apologize. Super Bitter Throwaway replies, exposure to information is what made me realize how deep in the closet I was. My mum didn't react nearly as bad to me coming out as a lesbian as OP did, but she still reacted badly, and it took me years to truly forgive her for that. OP, reading your post filled me with horror and disgust at you and empathy for your daughter. Even in your edits, you don't seem to realize how terribly ignorant and phobic you are. You're the a-hole, and not only should you apologize, but you should do some serious soul-searching about why you reacted the way you did. Maybe even talk to a professional. And on the topic of the edit, here it is. Edit. From just the first comments, I can tell the consensus is I'm the a-hole. I may be in the wrong on this one issue, but it doesn't need to ruin my relationship with my daughter. Her father passed away when she was 10, and we've been very close since, and helped each other through some hard times. I love and appreciate my daughter, and I know she loves and appreciates me. She tells me so. I will talk to her. And edit 2. So, we talked. I thank everyone who was constructive and gave me a different perspective. I told her I'm sorry for trying to tell her what she is. I said she can date who she wants and I will support her as long as it's a healthy relationship. She thanked me and said she knows I'm old and don't really get it, but nothing has to change. I asked her if she's ever had a girlfriend, and she said no, but she has kissed a girl. I told her I also kissed a few of my friends in college, so we had a nice chat about it, I think. I won't pretend my opinion has totally changed, but taking advice from the comments, I'm not going to tell her that, and what I think really doesn't matter. One of the comments mentioned the show One Day at a Time, which I've heard about, so I'm going to check it out and might learn something new. So I guess take from that one what you will. How do you guys feel about hearing those edits? Because, I don't know, I don't think she learned her lesson here. Odd Conclusion 2283 says, seriously, OP's edit just reinforced what a jerk she is. OP, you're the a-hole. I thought the same thing. Her edit with, I'm still right, but I said I'm sorry, made me so irritated. I read this whole thing just cringing. How could they write this without knowing they're the a-hole? It's so clear on this one. At least they had the good sense to go back and talk this through with their daughter, so maybe there's a starting point there? Because yikes. Posted by user Peculiar Mysteries. Titled, Am I the a-hole for faking sick to get a day to myself? So, I'm a mum of 2 young kids, ages 20 months and 4. Love the hellions, but my smallest is teething and still wakes up 2 to 3 times a night. It's exhausting. My partner does his fair share if I complain enough, but far too often I hear, sorry hun, you have better ears than me, I just don't hear the baby at night. Ugh, eye roll. I had an ear infection and accidentally got a faulty temperature reading. Using one of those temperature guns, it came back no fever, but after moving it around a bit, I got a fever reading. Not gonna lie, I was feeling only like mildly sick, mostly just tired, but was hoping for a fever so I could take a day off without mum guilt. Usually I power through when I'm sick. So I thought about it for a second. All of those times the man flu has invaded the house. Like the time he had sniffles during my exam week when the kids were out of daycare and couldn't touch our children for 10 days for fear he might have the big COVID. Leaving meals at his door was met with pasta hurts his teeth. He'd much prefer cut up fresh fruits and veggies, and perhaps some fresh ginger and lemon tea. Not the bagged kind, of course. So I thought about it a bit more, and hello, sick day. Now, I still interacted with the kids and watched from my spot on the sofa as he prepared dinner, but as he turned to me with a, well, I guess I'm putting both kids to sleep tonight, I responded with, yeah, hun, sorry, I just checked and I still have a fever. Okay, maybe I'm an a-hole, but at least I'm a well-rested one. So as an outside observer, my petty side wants to say, you're a justified a-hole in this instance because 2 can play at that game. But my more logical side says, at the same time as a family unit, he obviously hasn't been pulling his weight and both of you need to change. This time last year, his excuse was a valid one. You definitely wanted to quarantine and keep away from people in fear that you did catch it and spread it to everyone else. But nowadays, not so much, especially if you're getting vaccinated and whatnot. And definitely, obviously, you don't want to go spreading it to everyone. You want to keep it as locked down as possible. I'm definitely not saying if he was positive for it, he should just continue life as normal. That is not the case. I'm saying if you can verify these were just man flus all those times, then yeah, he absolutely sucks for taking advantage of the situation and doing nothing to help around the house or with his share of things when you were expected to do the same whilst sick. He can't have his cake and eat it too. That's not right. I do think both of you should have nipped this in the bud before it became a problem, but alas, you didn't. There was just a huge failure of communication here. No one wanted to step up and be the bigger man. So my judgment is everyone sucks here. Now in the comments, CMemp says, everyone sucks here. Girl, you're faking an illness because you don't have the balls to stand up to your husband and tell him to be an equal parent. I don't like when people say that their spouses help them or are watching them. Like, you need to look at this man and tell him that these are his kids too, and that this crap is ridiculous. You're not his nanny. You're his wife, and y'all have these kids together. You look at your husband and say, take them, I'm exhausted. Not fake a fever and then feel so happy that he's making dinner and putting them to bed only because you're faking sick. Like, ah. And OP replies, thanks. I agree, but it's not about standing up to him. I do that all the time. In fact, sometimes I think he's a little afraid of me, lol. It's more about my mum guilt. I'd feel crappy taking a me day even though I felt I needed it if I didn't have an excuse. Plus, it was kinda revenge for all the man flus as of late. Sometimes I think I need to grow up. It's a work in progress. You're not the a-hole, but you need to start demanding more of your husband. If he's faking sleep overnight, shake him until he can't ignore you. You shouldn't have to micromanage him, but the arrangement you've got currently doesn't sound sustainable. Oh god, get ready for a bad reply from OP. Google Science backs up that women have better hearing when it comes to babies theory. Woo, lucky us. That was a joke. Unfortunately, he's a deep sleeper and I'm a light sleeper. On the bright side, I've figured out this new magic trick called, if I too pretend I'm a really deep sleeper, he'll hear the baby after a few minutes. Works like a charm. Just wish I'd discovered this with my first child, lol. You're both being immature in my opinion. You two need to sit down and work this out instead of, in his case, pretending he can't hear babies because he's a guy, and in your case, taking revenge. Tell him you need to just act instead of waiting until you're drop dead tired and thrusting the kids into his arms. And OP replies again, the comment above was a joke, in case that wasn't clear. It's not about him not hearing because he's a guy. He's a deep sleeper, and I'm a light sleeper, so I usually ended up jumping up with our kids when they woke up. I've talked to him about this hundreds of times, he apologizes, but although he's gotten a bit better, it doesn't make him a lighter sleeper. What has helped is waiting for a few minutes for him to wake up when I don't feel like it, instead of immediately jumping up. Just frickin' elbow him or something. I sleep like a log, and when my kids cry at night, my ex-wife would wake me up if it was my turn to take care of the baby. Gonna say everyone sucks here. I don't blame you, but you need to be communicating better. It sounds like you're worn out of doing the majority of the child caring, and what you did just gives temporary relief without addressing the actual issues in your relationship. Disagree. She was sick. Yes, they should be able to communicate better, but sometimes when one partner isn't able to see things for how they are and the other is desperate, you do what you can do. Not the a-hole. And Alert Potato says, not the a-hole. Not getting enough rest when you have a mild ear infection is a great way to end up with a serious ear infection. Your partner is an a-hole for only taking on a reasonable amount of parenting and household duties when bitched at. He's also an a-hole for expecting you to baby him during exam week while also caring for kids. I don't give a crap how sick he was. He was capable of boiling water and throwing some lemons and ginger in it. I'm all for caring for one's partner when they're sick within reason. I want fresh cut up fruits and veggies, not pasta, while you take care of kids during exam week is not within reason. He was being ridiculous, and you are under no obligation to entertain his bullcrap when he's sick in the future. So that's been an interesting and long one. OP has replied to a lot of these comments, and I don't want to read those replies after hearing those last two. I'd love to know what you guys think in the comments. And our next post is by user, Is the Bitch for Reals? Titled, Am I the a-hole for my reaction to an extreme couponer at my store? So, I, 18 female, am a cashier at a grocery store in my town. This afternoon, we had a large group of people come in together. Turns out they were extreme couponing. For anyone unaware of this, it's basically people who clip coupons and shop for a crap ton of groceries, and they hope to pay as little as possible. We see couponers all the time, but I've never seen anyone go as crazy as this family did. So basically, the mum had hundreds of coupons, and she didn't bring any money because she thought if she didn't bring money, it would encourage her to do her best and get her groceries for free. Her family stayed by the cart corral while she shopped, and every time she needed a new cart, they'd give her one and take her full cart. Eventually, she finished shopping, and she had about 6 carts of stuff. My manager shut my lane down and helped me bag, and then we started ringing. We get to the end and I'm ringing in the coupons when I get an error message on my screen that says my point of sale reached the maximum number of coupons for the transaction. So my manager voided the transaction and we started again and we tried to keep each group of items together, but we kept having the issue with the coupons. We even tried multiple transactions, but my store only had 5 registers and there were people waiting to check out and we couldn't get the coupons to go through properly. So the lady just decided she didn't want to get anything after all and wouldn't be buying anything in her carts. Her total after tax before coupons was $789.78 and there were roughly 500 items listed on her receipt per DM. And her stuff wasn't just in carts. She was also purchasing flats of sodas, big bags of dog food on rolling carts, flats of canned food, and the rule at my store is if a customer decides not to buy something at the register, then the cashier has to put it all back before they can go home. I had been at work since 5 a.m. and I was scheduled to leave at noon. And because I had to put everything back, I didn't get off work until about 30 minutes ago. She had taken 3 hours to shop herself. Anyway, when she said she wasn't going to buy anything after all, I had a visceral reaction and said to her, "Are you effing serious? I have to put all this back by myself." I should add that she left the store in shambles. The customer started tramping or bitching at me, so did her group. My manager got in my face, and I think the phrase lazy brat got thrown around. My co-workers have my back, but my mum and dad were all, "You took a job at the grocery store. You should expect stuff like this to happen. Your reaction was out of line." Am I the a-hole? Look, as a guy that's dealt with his fair share of unwanted craziness working at McDonald's for almost 5 years, I feel you, my man, I really do. Unfortunately, you're at work. Doesn't matter the circumstance, you just do not say that to the customer. They may not always be right, but it's no excuse for you to attack them like that. They absolutely were in the wrong here. I'm with you on that 100%. Screw those guys doing such a ridiculous amount of shopping and then dumping it on you. That would be atrocious to deal with, and I empathize with you on that. Let this one be a lesson for you on keeping your cool when all you want to do is scream bloody murder at these absolute buffoons that come into stores and pull this crap. Everyone sucks here. Your actions were understandable, but they were not justified, and you shouldn't have reacted that way. Now in the comments, Barn Hoob says, "Not the a-hole. The customer didn't bring any money to a store. If the customer is not planning on paying for anything, why should they be treated as a customer? Depends upon the coupon type. If the coupons are from the manufacturer, they're basically the same as money. The issue is, extreme couponers usually take advantage of things like double coupon promotions, so they do cost the company money. Also, it costs the manufacturer money, so someone is paying for her free groceries. And at the end of the day, it's the other customers. Not gonna lie, I'm pretty anti-couponers. They also paid a cashier and a manager to stand around for an hour trying to give her food for free. Not to mention possibly lost a few sales from people with smaller orders deciding to leave and get their stuff elsewhere, depending on how busy it was. Everyone sucks here. You're at work. Whether you're ringing up customers or restocking shelves shouldn't make a difference. Mouthing off customers makes your employer look bad, even if they would definitely deserve it outside of work. And yeah, I've worked retail as well, and I've had customers pull stunts and leave me to clean up. The store made less money by sending me on non-productive work, but my payslip was the same. Based on the time of posting and the timeline mentioned in the post, this person had to stay at work 3 hours after they were supposed to be done restocking everything the customer chose not to buy. I'd be pissed too. And edit, folks, it's the "you're at work anyway, what you're doing shouldn't make a difference" sentiment above that I disagree with, not the ruling of everyone sucks here. That's their manager's fault. No way I'd make an employee stay 3 hours late for that. This 1100%. A good manager would help their employee return all of those items after allowing those shenanigans to go down for so long. They tried for a long time to make things work for that woman, and when it didn't, it was just as much the manager's problem as the cashier's. A good manager wouldn't have or enforce a policy that forces employees to work past their scheduled shift to deal with an issue that isn't their fault in the first place. I'm sorry, but as a long-time retail and customer service employee, if anybody tried to tell me, you can't leave until these 500 plus items have been restocked because you made the mistake of doing your job and ringing out an entitled customer, I would laugh in their effing face. What if OP had plans that couldn't be rescheduled? What if they had exams they needed to study for? What if they had an important doctor's appointment? What if they had kids that needed picking up from school? Why is it okay for this manager or this corporation to have a policy that pretty much exclusively targets and punishes young employees who don't have the experience to realize the level of bullcrap that's being demanded of them? And why do I get a feeling it's because these younger employees' personal lives and obligations are automatically deemed invaluable and unimportant just because they're young? Edit to add, not even to mention that OP had already been scheduled for a 7-hour shift beginning at 5 a.m. and ended up having to stay until past 3 in order to put everything away, meaning that their manager forced them to work an unscheduled 10-hour shift with zero prior notice. And I'm willing to bet the entirety of my next paycheck that they didn't give OP any extra breaks to compensate for those extra hours either. On the off chance that you read this comment, OP, quit your job ASAP. The management is toxic and openly taking advantage of their employees. Unless they're paying you upwards of $20 an hour, it's not effing worth it. God, don't you just love it when people go into these tangents? Because I know a lot of the times, maybe it's not important that I go into huge, long comments and I take so long reading comments between posts. That's fine. If you don't like that, obviously there's the things on the timeline and in the description. You can jump to the next post if you'd like to. But I really do feel like some of this advice helps people. You know, random advice in the comments can be that one thing you need to hear in your life, and you do something about a situation in your life. Or it's the advice that a friend needs, and a friend can change something based on random advice you see on Reddit. I know there's been so many instances in my personal life that I've read these things and I'm like, yeah, that does make sense. Why was I approaching it like this when this approach is like really smart? Like, why let myself be taken advantage of by a workplace when I can find somewhere that's definitely going to treat me better? Now, obviously, that's not going to apply to everyone. A lot of the times you don't really have a choice with your employer, and I understand that freaking sucks. All I'm trying to say is I like reading long comments, feel like it helps people, and thank you for listening. Alright guys, that's the end of the video. Friendly reminder that I'm now posting daily on my second channel, Markee 2. If you want to laugh at memes with me, link is down in the description below. On phone, you just click that little arrow underneath the video. I also want to say thank you to all my channel members and Patreon subscribers. Your names are currently floating down the screen here, and I love to see all of you guys. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Thank you for supporting me. I really appreciate it. If you see yourself on screen, I want you to give yourself a big pat on the back for being amazing as always, and thank you for supporting me again. I do hope that you guys have a good day, night, sleep, whatever it is you're up to. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.